Hello. So I wanted to answer a question on this live today from Caitlin, who, when I put out a little poll last week, I asked if there's any questions or things that people really wanted to be addressed in this live, and there was lots of good ones, but this one I thought was probably helpful to a lot of people. So Caitlin was asking how tips for staying on track or staying on plan when you are traveling. So ways to kind of be healthy while you're traveling. And the reason why I love this question is because so many times we start out, feeling really good. We're like, cool, I'm doing all the things. I'm eating in this certain way. I'm feeding, my body in this way. I'm sleeping at this time. And then travel happens or social plans happen. I mean, admittedly, less of that this past year. But things that kind of like knock us off. And we're like, oh my gosh, how can I get back on? Or, oh, that sounds too hard. I probably shouldn't get back on. And we kind of get in this place of like either feeling like we're on the wagon or we're off the wagon. And what I love and what I work with people on is figuring out how do we navigate this middle ground where it doesn't have to feel like travel or social plans or whatever derails us and makes us feel horrible. We really feel like we have a pretty good plan to stick with so that we have a strong foundation and don't always feel like we're like on and off the wagon. So 3 things to think about when traveling. And I know Caitlin, who asked this question, had said that she travels a lot for work and maybe is traveling like a good chunk, out of the month. So that might be different than other people who are just traveling for a vacation, but it's kind of, I think about the same things. So the first thing is, what is the plan? What's the plan? And that sounds obvious, but sometimes we might have it in our head like, well, the plan is just to be healthy or just like do all my healthy things. And then we get to a place where we don't know, where to source food, or we're like at a dinner or whatever, and we get kind of thrown off. The first thing is, what is your plan? Is it that you are, following a certain dietary protocol right now for a period of time? So that's kind of the plan. Is the plan that you are just avoiding sugar, or maybe you're avoiding gluten? Is the plan that you are eating as many vegetables as you can because that's the thing that really fuels your body? Like, first, it sounds obvious, but figure out what is your plan, because then when you go into situations where you might meet resistance, or you might have to work a little harder to source food that works for you, you're going to be really clear on what is that. So write it down. Are there foods that you're avoiding right now? Are there foods you're wanting to bring in? If it's more lifestyle related things, like get super clear on the plan. Like for me, say I'm, going out to a restaurant or going out with friends or something, my dietary and lifestyle needs kind of shift and change based on how I'm feeling, the seasons, what's going on in my body. So I'll always kind of check in with myself and think, okay, what's the plan this evening? I, know right now I'm more depleted, so I don't want to, have any alcohol, or I know how alcohol can affect me if I'm in that place. So I kind of like make the decision before I get into the situation, the social situation, or like before travel of like, okay, what do I want to do here? What is the goal here? Then it's so much easier than when we're in that situation, we can think, oh yeah, I already kind of made this decision and I know why, for me, why that matters. So that's the first piece, is figure out exactly what the plan is, like when you're traveling. And then the second piece is about prioritizing protein. Like when it comes to foods and we're traveling, I find that our world makes it kind of hard to find good, nutrient-dense, convenient foods. Like I recently just road tripped from Seattle to LA when we moved, and, it reminded me again, it could be hard to source, good foods. One of the hardest pieces I find is protein. finding the protein. And the reason why I talk about that is because there's a lot of times other different sorts of like carbohydrates or different things that we can find out in the world that might work for us. But if we don't have enough protein and fat in the diet and we aren't balancing our blood sugar in a way that keeps us full and satisfied and sustained, it's going to be a lot harder than when we're out and we're like driving or traveling or staying at a hotel or relying on like the hotel cafe to feed us, to be able to make good choices. So if you can prioritize protein, and what that looks like for me sometimes is buying like some turkey jerky, or maybe I'll do hard-boiled eggs, or maybe I'll do like some collagen protein powder in something, or make sure I've got like shredded chicken or turkey breast, or I mean you can do plant sources of protein as well. Maybe there's like hummus, or maybe you're using nut butters to have some more fats or things like that. If you can prioritize that, like no matter what, you've got those things either in your bag, in your suitcase, in whatever you're traveling with, that's going to help you to stay satiated, to keep your blood sugar balanced, so that you can be able to take the time you need to maybe source other foods, or to feel like you're not just massively crashing and you're like, I need anything that's in front of me right now. And if you're out traveling or if you're at a hotel, like sometimes those things that are right in front of you, those convenient foods, aren't going to be the ones that really fuel you and make you feel good, and they might not be part of your plan. So prioritize protein, like having that animal protein, plant protein, whatever it is, like that's my biggest travel thing that I always have. The third thing that kind of goes along with that is, and if you're one of my clients, you've heard me talk about this all the time, is focusing on your non-negotiables, what I call non-negotiables for health. And what those are really identifying like what are the top 3 things that make you feel your best right now. These can be things like getting 8 hours of sleep. It can be drinking X amount of water. It can be meditation. It can be balancing blood sugar. For me, one of the biggest things is eating a protein-rich breakfast. Like that's just important for me and my blood sugar balance. So identify what are your non-negotiables for health right now, and write them down, just like you're writing down your plan. What are your non-negotiables? Like the things that make you feel your very best. And why that's important is because then when we're traveling, there's 5 million things we could do for our health, right? And if we get overwhelmed and try and do all of the things all the time, it might not feel possible. It might not feel accessible. But if we can narrow it down to our 3 non-negotiables, so that when you are traveling or in an environment that's less familiar to you, you don't know where your food's coming from or all that, you can focus in and say, okay, cool. My number 1 is I gotta get 8 hours of sleep. That is my focus. So when you're traveling, you focus on that. You think, okay, how can I get my 8 hours of sleep? I know this is my non-negotiable. I'm not going to worry about all the other pieces, right? But this is the thing I know is going to make a big difference for me in this week. Another one for me, like I said, was that protein-filled breakfast. Like that's super important for me personally. So I know if I'm traveling, I'm going to like make everyone pull over and stop at somewhere where I can get a protein-filled breakfast, or I'm going to buy something the night before so I've got it, because that's my non-negotiable, and I do it no matter what because I know it's going to set me up. I don't worry about all the other things that I may, usually do on a normal basis. So come up with your 3 non-negotiables. These are really helpful not only in times of travel, but in times of higher stress. These are the things we can double down on. And if any of my clients listening to this, they know that we talk about these things all the time, and they change too. So that is a really important piece for when you're traveling as well, whether it's just a vacation or like Caitlin, who asked this question, sounds like she's traveling quite a bit and it's part of the lifestyle. So really figuring out when you're traveling, what are those 3 things that you need to feel your best? They might surprise you what they are right now. So to sum it all up again, how to stay on track when you're traveling. The first thing is, what does on track mean? What is the plan for you? Getting so clear, writing it down, having that clarity before you step into the situation is going to help you so much to just know where you're going and what you need. The second is prioritizing protein and balancing blood sugar so that you can make sure you have that stability so you don't end up in those places of like crashing, of no food around you, of having to just eat whatever's in front of you because you're really hungry, your blood sugar's low, we don't have the proteins or fats or fibers or things to kind of keep you feeling full. So that's the second. And the third is to focus on your 3 non-negotiables, the things that make you feel your best, and letting go of the other pieces, but knowing if you can double down on those, if you can just get really solid on those, that's going to help you have this really strong foundation so that you can enjoy yourself when you're traveling. You can know, like, I've got this, I've taken care of these pieces, and everything else, it's all good. You know, I can kind of release that a little bit. So I hope that is helpful for you in thinking about this. I love talking about how we make things feel more sustainable with health. So if you have any other questions around that, I am super happy to help. I'm really excited because I have an online Live Well online program coming out soon. I'm putting finishing touches on it right now, but this is one of the pieces we talk through in it as well. So it's an online program that consists of 12 modules, everything I take my one-on-one coaching clients through, but I have spent a really long time putting it all together, getting it all organized so I can offer it to you all and offer it to more people. So stay tuned. Just wanted to give you a little update on that, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.